Hey everybody, ChaoticMeatball here, and welcome back to another Professor Oak's challenge. So, after going back to Kanto last time, I decided it was a pretty good time to go back to Kanto. How quickly can you complete Professor Oak's challenge of Pokemon Yellow? Well, let's just jump right into it. Just for a reminder, I decided to go over the rules again for any of you guys that are new here. First of all, we need to capture and obtain every Pokemon available before challenging each gym leader, only fighting leaders that give us access to more Pokemon. Second, no trading, and third, no glitches. This challenge would be a bit too easy if I could just get infinite rare candies with one of the glitches in this game, and every Pokemon would technically be obtainable with Trainer Fly, so it's limited to legitimately obtainable Pokemon. Either way, let's begin. I named my character Chaotic, named my rival Karsten, since it was actually a name I've never heard anyone use before and it just came up in my head, seemed pretty neat. I got my partner Pikachu, which can't evolve because anime reasons, and there's no other Pikachus in the game, leaving Raichu unobtainable. I battle Karsten and move on to Route 1 and into Viridian City to grab Oak's parcel and deliver it so that I could get the Pokedex and get the challenge in full swing. I grabbed 15 Pokeballs from the mart and moved back to Route 1 for a Pidgey, before moving over to Route 22 to capture Mankey and Spearow, leading me to Southern Route 2 so that I'd be able to get Rattata at level 4, and both Nidorans at level 6, since this is the highest level that I can catch them at this point in the game. I made my way into Viridian Forest so that I'd be able to capture a Caterpie and a level 9 Pidgeotto. This makes training in the game so much easier in this section. So it's time for grinding, we've already caught everything. My first main was Spearow, as I had Peck to use against the bug types in the forest, and seeing as the Weedle line isn't available, I don't have a chance of getting poisoned. I got pretty lucky and basically encountered Metapods the whole time, with the exception of a few soft resets so that I wouldn't waste that much in-game time, usually of the level 6 variety. But seeing as I don't only train one Pokemon at a time, and go back to the Pokemon Center needlessly, my Nidorans ended up evolving first. Both had multiple neutral moves to defend themselves against anything in the forest, so they evolved into Nidorino and Nidorina at level 16 with ease. Spearow followed up within minutes, hitting level 20 and evolving into Fearow. My next goal was to continue to get Pidgeotto to level 36, which only took a few hours, seeing as battles against other Pidgeottos and Metapods really made it easy. Switch training the Caterpie that I caught was also easy because I caught it at level 6, meaning it evolved into Metapod in one level and into Butterfree at level 10 in less than 30 minutes. My last 3 Pokemon to get were Pidgeot, Raticate, and Primeape. These didn't actually take too long since, first of all, Raditz had learned enough moves to where I didn't really have to go back to the Pokemon Center for PP, rather I'd be going back if I got knocked out, which wasn't very often since I just switch out if I encountered a Pidgeotto. After about an hour and a half, Rattata evolved into Raticate at level 20. Mankey could actually take stuff pretty quickly because of it having a high attack, and for some reason the attacks that I were using were super effective against Pidgeotto. But Gen 1 jank aside, I was able to evolve it into Primeape into level 28. And since Pidgeotto was pretty darn close to evolution when working with the other two, I worked for about another hour and got it to evolve into Pidgeot at level 36. And with a time of only 13 hours and 2 minutes, which is pretty low for a first section in a non-Let's Go game, I felt pretty good with myself here. Luckily, with all of the high EXP yielding Pokemon in this section, it made it pretty simple to do something like this. Of course with a few soft resets like I said, since if I got a few too many Caterpies in a row for my liking, I'd rather soft reset so I wouldn't waste more time, so chances are it took around 17 in real life hours, but it worked. Brock was a cinch, though using physical moves was probably not my smartest choice despite the fact that my Pidgeot was level 36. I deposited everything I could before leaving for Route 3, where I managed to capture a Sandshrew and made sure to grab a Magikarp from this nerd before going my way into Mount Moon. Man, this stuff is repetitive. If I may make a side note, the fact that I've done this challenge on both Fire Red and Let's Go Pikachu makes me really wonder why Kanto is just so repetitive. They barely changed it in between games at all. It makes me actively dislike Gen 1 pandering, and makes me not really look forward to stuff in Pokemon Sword and Shield, which I won't state here since I don't want to spoil you guys on. Mount Moon is home to a few new Pokemon, those being Zubat, Geodude, Paris, and 2 Clefairy. I made sure to grab this first Moonstone here so that I could evolve my Nidorino into Nidoking with it, as well as this one from my Nidorina to evolve into Nidoqueen. There isn't another Moonstone in this section, so I can't evolve Clefairy just yet. But I've got to fight this other nerd to get the almighty Helix fossil before continuing. What is wrong with all these nerds giving away their Pokemon? Immediately after, there's a battle with Jesse and James, which in this version isn't a double battle since that wasn't introduced until Generation 3, and boom, we're out and we're able to travel to Cerulean City. After changing up my party, I grabbed this Bulbasaur from this lady in Cerulean. She requires you to have high happiness with Pikachu, and since you're doing this challenge, you're really not going to have it. But because of Gen 1 jank, you're able to just use items over and over again on Pikachu, even if they have no effect, and they'll increase the happiness, allowing me to net myself a Bulbasaur. My next job was to do some grinding with the trainers on Nugget Bridge, including my rival, getting the Charmander from this third nerd, fighting even more trainers, and getting over to Bill's house to get the SS ticket and capture the available Pokemon here, those being Bellsprout, Venonat, and Oddish. After leaving, I went back through Cerulean City and down to Route 5 so that I could capture Jigglypuff and Abra. Luckily, I had a Great Ball and allowed for Abra to go into it with ease. Traveling through the underground path and fighting a few trainers on Route 6 allowed for my useless Magikarp to evolve into Gyarados. Seriously, who would attempt to use this thing alone? On the same route, I managed to get a few KOs with Bulbasaur alone, netting me a ton of EXP and netting me at level 16 on the last trainer, giving me an evolution into Ivysaur. Same general things we've got going on here: Vermilion City, Route 11, which led me to catch a Drowsy, and Diglett's Cave, which led me to catch both a Diglett and Dugtrio. Everything's actually captured to this point, so I just used the high levels in Diglett's Cave and the trainers on the SSN to evolve everything within around 8 hours, evolving Sandshrew into Sandslash at level 22, Zubat into Golbat at level 22. Then I actually had some trouble with Geodude, since I could barely take down the Digletts and had no chance with the Dugtrios, so I had to switch train it a bit at points just to get it to level 25 and into Graveler. Looking back, I probably could have just fought the trainers on the SSN with Geodude and didn't have to struggle with it, but hindsight's 2020. Ivysaur evolved into Venusaur at level 32 during the time I was evolving those three, allowing me to move some easier Pokemon. Oddish was pretty easy to level up to 21 since he has Absorb, and Diglett and Dugtrio are both pretty frail, so they were able to go down pretty easily and allow me to evolve into Gloom at level 21. Afterwards, I just balanced out my remaining Pokemon, training them until they either fainted or ran out of PP, allowing me to evolve Drowsy into Hypno at level 26, but nothing else on the first round, so I just traveled through the entire cave so that I could perform an in-game trade with one of my Clefairy for a Mr. Mime. After healing, the next one to evolve was Bellsprout into Weepinbell at level 21, which was pretty easy since he was another grass type, of course. The rest were somewhat difficult, seeing as I had to switch train Charmander since he would just go down to basically anything the Digletts or Dugtrios would throw out. Same with Venonat. Charmander evolved into Charmeleon at level 16 after only a few battles due to the high EXP yield, though near the end of the time I was training it, I was taking everything down with Slash and Ember pretty handily, allowing it to evolve into Charizard at level 36. Paris evolved into Parasect at level 24, and moving over to the SSN finally, I trained up Venonat for the last few levels, including my rival, leading to the evolution into Venomoth at level 31. After getting cut, I was able to go and get the bike voucher. I had attempted to talk to the guy in the bike store before getting it, but the instant text exploit that was used in red and blue speedruns is not in yellow version, unfortunately. And with that, it's time to fight Misty. I made it to her with a time of 22 hours and 57 minutes. I was surprised how little time this actually took as well, since I had 2 starters to train up, but then again, using repels combined with the soft resets in Diglett's Cave really helped out, since I was able to get sometimes 5 to 6 Dugtrio if I was dedicated off of 1 regular repel. But only when I was really soft resetting for them. I'd usually accept high level Diglett as well, since they had a pretty good EXP yield. And with that, onto the biggest section of the game is Kanto's pre-batch 3 is usually extremely non-linear. My next mission here was to go back through Diglett's Cave so that I could use Cut and get the HM for Flash, a Moonstone on Route 2, and back to Pewter City, since I needed to get the old amber from the museum. Returning back to Cerulean City, I grabbed and evolved Jigglypuff into Wigglytuff, and went east to Route 9 so that I could take down the required trainers, so that I could have some for the Pokemon I need to evolve later on. I went to Route 10 so that I could capture Magnemite, and go back to the trainers on Route 9 that I left, taking them down and proceeding into Rock Tunnel. Since I had the HM for Flash, I could light up the area, making it a bit easier, though I had to sacrifice a party slot to do so. During my manhandling of trainers, I made sure to capture Onix and Machop. Make sure to not grind Machop though, you'll see later. I exited the cave and took down the rest of the trainers before Lavender Town. I can't really handle anything here just yet, so I went west to Route 8, where I made sure to only fight enough trainers to get Magnemite to level 30, evolving it into Magneton. I made it to Celadon City after the other underground path, stopping in the department store so that I could pick up all of the evolution stones I'd need for the rest of the game, as well as a fresh water. I also made sure to grab an Eevee from the top of this building, which I then evolved into Flareon with Firestone. Before I went to go take down Team Rocket, I grabbed the coin case, since I'll need 10,999 coins to get both Vulpix and Porygon. I knew I was going to need a boatload of money for that Porygon, so I opened up the hideout and did some slots, which I managed to hit a bar pretty early on, but nothing crazy. I went west to Route 16 so that I could capture a Doduo, as well as getting the HM for Fly, then went back to the Pokemon Center so I could grab my Weepinbell and Gloom, evolving them into Victreebel and Vileplume respectively with Leaf Stones. I made sure I had Doduo and Clefairy before fighting through the Celadon Rocket hideout. There's the last Moonstone I need for the game here, so I grabbed it and immediately evolved Clefairy into Clefable. I grabbed the lift key and made my way to Giovanni, but not before getting interrupted by Jesse and James again before getting to him. I defeated him and got the Silph Scope in the process. I forgot that this last Rocket Grunt existed to try to pick the bones if you had pretty low health, but it ended up allowing me to evolve my Doduo into Dodrio at level 31. After I finished up there, I grabbed a Vulpix for 1,000 coins and immediately evolved it into Ninetales with a Firestone. I gave the guards blocking Saffron City the fresh water I grabbed earlier so that I could get into the city, which was done just so I wouldn't have to continually take the underground paths. I went back to the Pokemon Tower in Lavender Town so I could fight my rival and capture a few things, first of which being a level 24 Ghastly. This allowed me to not waste time since all I had to do was level Ghastly up once, something very easy to do in the Pokemon Tower since it was super effective, so that I could evolve it straight away into Haunter at level 25. I also caught 2 Cubone while in the tower, chased off the dead Marowak since it wouldn't go into a Pokeball, actually making me evolve Cubone for one, and took down Jesse and James again. Seriously, guys? I got the Pokeflute from Mr. Fuji in return, for saving his bum. Stupid Marowak. I went back to Route 8 to handle the remaining trainers I didn't fight earlier, went north of Saffron City to stop on this underground path so that I could trade my second Cubone for a Machoke, which evolved into Machamp after receiving it. I feel like this is the only trade evolution in the US versions of Pokemon you can get in-game. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't recall any other in-game trades. I stopped in the Celadon Game Corner so I could get more coins, but I was still quite a ways away from Porygon. Route 16 was my next stop, seeing as Snorlax was in the way, and I needed to capture it, so bloop, right in the ball. Route 17 was home to Ponyta, so I caught that and fought all the trainers on the route, allowing me to evolve Cubone into Marowak at level 28. I also made sure to get some of the earlier levels on Ponyta by fighting all of the trainers in the Celadon gym, since I could easily knock everything out with Ember. I finally made my way into Fuchsia City, meaning it's time to grab the good rod and head for the super fun Safari Zone. I swear I hate this thing in every single game it's in. Anyway, Area 1 is home to Execute, which evolved immediately with a Leaf Stone into Executor, Tangela, and Rhyhorn. You'll have to fish to get both Poliwag and Goldeen in this area as well. To the east lies Chansey, Tauros, and Scyther. In Area 3 resides Pinsir, and Area 2 has Kangaskhan. After catching everything I could for the time, relieving me of this area for the time, I went east to Route 15 and leveled up Ponyta to level 40, allowing it to evolve into Rapidash. I went over to Route 14 so I could capture Farfetch'd. I went even further north to Route 13 so that I could get the Super Rod, taking down all of the trainers on this in both Route 12. From here, I just decided to grab everything I could with the rods. So first up, we've got Horsey and Cedra on Route 12 with the Super Rod. Since I was on my way through, I made sure to take down the Fighting Dojo in Saffron City, grabbing a Hitmonlee at the end of it all. Fortunately, I had enough Pokemon that I needed to evolve, so I just decided to take down everybody at the Sylph Company. I evolved Rhyhorn into Rhydon at level 42 before fighting my rival again, and evolved Poliwag into Poliwhirl at level 25, and into Poliwrath with a Water Stone. This nerd gave me a Lapras for getting this close to taking down Team Rocket, I guess? Why not just give it to me afterwards? Oh, come on. Jesse and James, just please go away. I know it's a cool thing from the anime, but I don't watch the anime, and I'm so strong that these just feel like filler. Whatever. I took down Giovanni and got the Master Ball. That'll be very useful later, I'm sure. Now after those pit stops, I went to Vermilion City to resume my fishing escapades, netting myself a Tentacool with the Super Rod, Krabby and Kingler on Route 10 with the Super Rod, Staryu on Route 17, which evolved immediately into Starmie with a Water Stone, as well as Tentacruel with the Super Rod. Shellder is catchable on Route 19 with the Super Rod, which I evolved into Cloyster immediately with my last Water Stone. The only thing left to grab is Seeking on Route 24, Soft Reset at the slot machines to finish the coins I need for Porygon, which actually didn't take that long since I had over 117,000 Pokédollars, making it a pretty easy run. And with that, I went back for the Safari Zone for... Okay, how in the world did I get Dragonair before Dratini? I never have good luck with this, like, ever in these challenges, unless I soft reset for it. Oh, so I got that in Dratini, and reluctantly had to evolve the Dragonair into Dragonite. I grabbed the Gold Teeth and HM for Surf on my way out. This actually didn't take too long since how high level the remaining trainers were, and since I hadn't fought the trainers in either Lieutenant Surge's gym or Sabrina's gym, so I got a good few levels on them before having to grind out and use the 6 available rare candies that I had picked up along the way, finally allowing me to evolve into Dragonite at level 55. The next gym leader fight I have is Koga, so I made sure to exchange the Gold Teeth for HM04 Strength while I was in Fuchsia City, and saved in front of him with a time of 32 hours and 7 minutes. And of course I obliterated Koga with my Dragonite to move on to the next section. Everything just took a Hyper Beam to the face. Now that we have the ability to use Surf, there's a few more Pokemon we've got to capture around the region. The first of which is on Route 12, where you can capture a Slowpoke and Slowbro. Next up is Route 6, just north of Vermilion City, where I can snag myself a Psyduck and a Golduck. I had to go back through Cerulean City so that I could make my way over to Route 10 and surf my bum down towards the power plant, where I could have some things electrocute me, since I'm a 10-year-old child playing at a power plant. Catch some nice pocket monsters. I managed to capture Voltorb, which evolved into Electrode in one level, Muck, Grimer, and the big electrified fried chicken, Zapdos. It didn't take me that much time to get it, seeing as I had pretty low health and paralyzed, so it just went in for the first ball that actually didn't miss. And with the first of the fried chickens, I am able to head towards Cinnabar Island. I'm able to revive both of my fossils here to get Ammonite and Aerodactyl with the Helix fossil and Old Amber respectively. I entered the Pokemon Mansion so that I could get the secret key and get into Blaine's gym, but I had to capture Growlithe, which was my last stone evolution, so I evolved it into Arcanine with my last Firestone, and Ditto. And with this, there's only one evolution for this section, and that being Amistar. And since there's a lot of trainers I skipped on the sea routes, and Blaine's gym, it allowed me to fight them all and evolve Ammonite and Amistar at level 40, as well as taking out the last few encounters, those being Seal and Dugong in the Seafoam Islands. And with those, we need to actually take down Lieutenant Surge of all gym leaders. I saved in front of him with a time of 33 hours and 23 minutes, defeated him, and netted me the Thunder Badge. Why does he only have one Pokemon? Once I had the badge, I'm able to talk to Officer Jenny, and she gives me a Squirtle right when I have this badge now. And that's all the catches. Woohoo! Since Squirtle is pretty able and is able to get access to 3 Water-type moves by level 15, including the HM for Surf, I could easily take down anything in Diglett's Cave within a few levels, allowing me to evolve Squirtle into Wartortle at level 16, and into Blastoise at level 36. I somehow did it within about an hour or so, seeing as I did some soft resetting for Dugtrios again with the Repel trick until level 32. From here, we've got to fight Erica so that we can get access to using Strength outside of battle. I got to her with a time of 34 hours and 14 minutes, annihilated her with my Dragonite, and... Alright, you're worse than Whitney! Don't you turn your back on me when I beat you with my Hyper Beam and Dragonite! Anyway, after that rude interruption, I flew back over to Fuchsia City so that I'd be able to get on the correct side of the Seafoam Islands for our next target. I got through the strength puzzle so that I could capture my frozen fried chicken dinner for after this challenge is over, Articuno, taking only a few Ultra Balls to do so. And with that, we are allowed to get the rest of the badges. I flew to Saffron to challenge Sabrina, flew to Cinnabar to challenge Blaine, and finally flew to Viridian to challenge Giovanni for hopefully the final time in my Professor Oak's challenge career, if and when I decide to do Pokemon Green, which is probably going to be soon, with a time of 34 hours and 40 minutes. I'm surprised it only took me about 25 minutes to take all 3 of them down, but it led me to a fight against my rival so that I could get to Victory Road. There isn't really anything new here except for one single beautiful fried chicken. The grilled one himself, Moltres. Moltres wasn't actually very difficult to capture, netting it within about 5 balls. After another 2 minutes, I finally emerged at the Elite Four, ready to take down the challenge at hand. Made sure to have Articuno, Moltres, and Dragonite since I felt like not bringing Zapdos for some reason, and defeated Lorelei, Bruno, Agatha, and Lance. I challenged my rival and took him down relatively easily since my Dragonite was in the mid-60s by this point and just hyper-beaming fools all over the place. After entering the Hall of Fame in Kanto for the 3rd time in this series, I flew back to Cerulean City to immediately get into Cerulean Cave. Lickitung was the only regular encounter I needed for this area, leaving just the most powerful Pokemon in the generation and quite possibly one of its most overrated, Mewtwo. Why do I even tease you guys into it anymore with this? Get in my Master Ball, son, get good. And with that, I finished the challenge with a time of 35 hours and 37 minutes. Really wish I was able to hit the sub-35 goal I was shooting for, but even with the soft resets, I don't think I could have done very much better, unless I did something more, like, more soft resetting for more Dugtrios, or running around for some encounters like Doduo, since that actually took around half a dozen encounters before it appeared. There's a lot of different aspects that could have been perfected, such as route and getting everything done in a certain pattern so you didn't have to walk as much, but we'll really only discover what the absolute lowest time that we can get on these challenges if we get more human runs and even some task ideas. I don't think I'm crazy enough to program a task for one of these runs, though I think it would be fun to see how quickly things can happen throughout. And with that, we're basically almost done with Kanto. I'll have to do a red and blue challenge at some point, though like I said, I'll probably be that crazy guy who attempts it on a Japanese copy of Pokemon Green. Hey guys, quick end card here. I just wanted to tell you that I have an official streaming schedule now. I'll be posting this from the next 2 weeks in my end card, starting with my Mega Man Game Gear video, and through to my Pokemon Emerald Professor Oak's challenge. But if you like to see me play games blind, speedrun Pokemon, or some other things, I'll be live from 8 PM Eastern to 12 AM Eastern on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Saturdays. I accidentally said Fridays, but I realized how undoable those days would be, and including that in the Game Gear video was pretty much a mistake on my part. So I hope to see you guys there, and that's it from me. Be sure to like, subscribe, tell a friend, and I'll see you all on the next video. Bye for now.